and welcome to Ops Oops Origami. I'm thinking I could probably cut that intro a little bit shorter. I'm getting quicker at checking all the streams. It only took me about 45 seconds this time. So you should trim that thing back till I almost ended it early, but I was jamming, so what are you going to do?
Dude, this is like the previews of the movies. It's part of the experience. Don't cut that down.
Ooh, that's actually a good idea.
And you've always been pretty
Have
quick.
some little clips that play...
What about like a last time on Dragon Ball Z type of thing? Last time on Ops Oops Origami.
Wild.
That could be interesting.
Tune in tonight at 8:30.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
Origami. Last time, Brian left saying, "What the hell?"
Like splice the clips in a way that like it just kind of ratchets stuff up unnecessarily.
Yeah.
Was Brian and Rick about to go at it? You'll find out.
Just all clickbaity and jump cuts
just
and
lean into it all the way.
dramatic music.
Right. No, you gotta get AI to do it too. So it's like cut in weird ways.
You're like nightmare fuel, man.
Well, we're getting there. I mean, the current intro video was made by AI, but that's a little bit easier than editing existing video at the moment. At the rate things are progressing, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe another year from now, we can just say, hey, take my YouTube channel and make it be less bad. I'm not even asking for good or great. Just
Well, ultimately,
Palpable.
that's all
palpable.
AI can do for you is less bad.
less cringe-inducing.
Yeah, I've spent
I would
half
settle
my
for
life
that.
my goal has been to be unsad. So it's very, very simple.
Goals, man.
Yeah,
How's it going so far?
it's working out pretty well.
Okay, good
Yeah.
to hear.
Fair enough. So let's kick it off.
Yeah.
I've heard a thing that no one ever got fired for buying. Pick your super duper great product.
IBM, and then Cisco, and then Dell, and then whoever, whatever.
Nobody
or it
ever
might be
got
a
fired for
technology.
buying Gateway.
Nobody ever got fired for buying MPLS. Whatever thing it is, or whatever brand.
I
mean-
actually kind of thought about that when you sent that over, Brian. We share a mutual love of an interesting situation. So, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion. So there is a apparently known problem with Dell EMC servers with their virtualization being able to talk to, I think, Cisco ACI Fabric. And so that was what I heard from certain individuals, or at least at the organization, it's not possible to link the two. And so with that being a known factor, allegedly, the other side continues to buy the Dell servers that cannot be integrated into the fabric. So what is your guys' take on something like that?
Sounds like a bad combination to me. If there really is an issue and it's insurmountable, why would you keep doing the same thing and expecting different results?
So if I had a system, Brian, that was incompatible with yours, and you're like, hey, Travis, this system doesn't work with it. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go ahead and keep buying it. I'm like, to me, it's like a professional snub. It's like, here's some problems for you.
It's
That's kind of
almost
the route
like-
that I looked at.
it's like they don't really speak the same language as you, right? Like you look at them, you say something cogent, they nod their head and they go, okay. And then like they turn around and they start speaking, Farsi or like Swahili or what, like, I don't know. And you're like,
I'm always kind of torn when stuff like that happens, because I think the sort of eternal optimists and like we as humans need to get along together. It's like everyone always kind of wants to lean towards it's a misunderstanding. But when it gets down to like a repetitive thing over and over, you keep telling me, yeah, it's incompatible. Like, okay, still buying the same thing. Like, Where do we
Yeah.
cross the line into bad faith actor territory? Hence
And
the
I'm not
firing.
familiar. I'm not familiar with your exact issue yet, but that's
I'm
kind
already
of
doing the web
exactly the
searching.
thing that it's kind of exactly the thing that this is about. It's maybe that thing isn't what it used to be anymore. Maybe it's Cisco just killing everyone with licensing, so maybe now it's time to look at somebody else for switching, or just can't deliver equipment. I mean, during
Mhm.
COVID, that happened to a lot of companies. So for some reason or another, conditions have changed. The company changed, the vendor changed, the company's needs changed, but what we're doing didn't change.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is there that momentum to keep doing the same thing? Is it just because it's easy? I mean, I've never been drawn to the easy. I've always been drawn to the correct solution, I guess. Not the, well, we've always done it that way. That has never been a good excuse for me. No, I want to know why. Whatever it is.
I've seen arguments for like ecosystems, like when people have Apple products, they buy because it's the ecosystem, everything kind of gels together.
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. It's like you want to stay under the
Yes.
same umbrella of stuff, a family, if you will. I
mean,
think there's an argument to be made there.
And
To
this,
a degree.
I'm not saying change for change's sake.
Yeah.
If the conditions are still the same, or they've changed together where everything still meets the needs of the company and the vendor's still upholding their end of the deal product wise, if it's still a match, if it's still the right thing to do, by all means keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
right.
But
And,
if it isn't,
Mm-hmm.
go ahead,
Incumbency,
Chris.
like, is a, like, there's value there, right? The system that you've worked with and have integrated with, and like, its quirks, its problems. So even if the competitor is like a little better or slightly cheaper, it's
Mm-hmm.
fine to stay with the existing product, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint, like, I understand, like, well, it's in the same ecosystem. Okay, sure. But like, a lot of these arguments boil down to things like, you don't want to think that hard. And I think that at purchase time is the time to think hard. Like,
That's when you have the
you get to
maximum
make this
leverage,
choice
too.
once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also when you have maximum leverage. If you're going to be like, all right, what are the known issues? What the devil's always in the details. Like, well, here we're going to, I don't know, save money on this or get an extra feature set, but it's going to cost an arm and a leg. The admin overhead's going to be murder. The people aren't ready for this system. It's just like, how much
Right.
are you saving? What is the bang for the buck? There should be a pros and cons every time before you hit that purchase button.
Yeah. Or
Right.
renewal or whatever.
Well,
And also you have to keep an eye on. So there's all the whiz bang features that are available, and then there's ones you actually use and get value from.
wanker
which president, yeah.
knobs.
Yeah, winker knobs. Don't get caught turning the wanker knob. Unless you need to. Rick, I don't think you were on that episode.
No, no, this is wanker knobs is a new phrase for me.
Yeah,
it's not nerd knobs, because nerd knobs sounds cool to us.
I got lots of nerd knobs. I mean, all my ham radio shit's got nerd knobs. So, but
how many of them are actually wanker knobs? Like, they're there because it's a bell or a whistle that the vendor could put on it, and how many of them do you actually use? Like, should you use?
Well, I use, depending on the radio, most of them, right? Okay. So very few wanker knobs.
Very few wanker knobs.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, here's my thoughts on like the wank knob concept. Is that there are things in systems and toys and all these kind of things that are meant for us, the engineers, and then there's what I call CIO bait. It's like, we can tune that, like, we won't actually do that, but we have the option now, and then you just like, it's almost like a phishing campaign. Is like, the CIO is he's all in, like.
Right.
Yeah, we had a
sort of gimmicky aspect.
We had a former supervisor that called that the seat back mentality. right? It was the magazine in the seat back of the airplane, and you pull it out,
Mhm.
the CIO reads it, or the CFO, or whoever reads it, and wow, this is really cool stuff. Let's go here. It
Right.
makes the decision while they're having their 14th martini.
So just to recap for Travis and Rick and anybody else who hasn't seen the Wanker Knob episode, the crux of the case is that there are engineering geared things. Like a CEO is not going to know most of the technical things that you're going to do with a product, right? And it came from an article where guys like stop calling them nerd knobs because
Mhm.
that gives them cachet and presence that they do not deserve. You shouldn't turn them, for a lot of them, ever. Right? Like if you're turning them, you're dealing with an edge case that you should probably be dealing with in a different way. Right? Like, oh, my vendor really, really sucks. Good thing I got this wanker now. But like, no, you should be holding your vendor to account or finding a new vendor.
And
Because
usually
if
that
everything
stuff
for a
is built.
solution, so if
I was just
everything for
saying,
a solution
Brad.
is all tweaked and modified to within an inch of its life, guess who's the one that's going to break? Whose install is going to break every time there's an upgrade to that whatever?
Mhm.
If you need to change something, by all means. If it's something you need to change to make something work, fine. But when you're tweaking a whole bunch of stuff just to tweak it, that's when you start getting your whole install becomes an edge case, and you're going to be the ones that run into problems every single time. It's just how it is.
Yep. Counterpoint comes to mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whereas if you could stay, it's kind of another example we used was SAP implementation. There's a reason why there's never an SAP implementation that's on time or on budget. It's because every company has all their business processes that they think are just the best thing ever. So they want SAP to be modified to meet their business practices, their business processes. Whereas most businesses, most of what they do are all solved problems. We already know how to do this, and it's stuff that SAP would usually do out of the box. But once you start modifying it, once again, to within an inch of its life, you're paying for a lot of consulting time and then paying for it again for every update because you're so far out of the box that you can't just apply an update cleanly. Whereas if you had more standardized business processes, now I get it. If you're someplace that has to do something weird because there's some compliance reason and you make some widget that nobody else makes. Okay, there are always exceptions to every rule.
There are situations where that's exactly the case. And if that is the case, then build your own widget, right? Build your own widget software, right?
It's going to be better.
It's perfectly doable. Because I know very intimately one company that is 99% there, right? So just to finish the job, right? Build your front end, get everything moved off of Access databases and into a big SQL database or several SQL databases, and move on, right? And quit fucking around. So, pardon my language, but
no, I mean,
yeah.
So that's the wanker knob thing, right? So
yes.
Anyway.
But it's also like a distraction because I think when you have, let's say, wanker knob as a construct in whatever your software hardware, there's always that sort of like, I use the example of it's like a building's on fire and people are complaining about the dishes being dirty. You know, you're spending so much time with your wanker knob. Like, I got to tune the Wi-Fi so it gets an extra 5 feet of coverage. It's like, your network's down, dude. Like, who cares? Like, you're so busy fiddling with the tiny stuff, you miss the absolute low-hanging fruit that would be so much more effective use of your time.
Or the
where you could have thrown 2 more APs on every floor and never had to worry about it.
There you go.
And then you could take an outage on one of your APs or half of your APs, and everything would be fine, like you should be doing anyways, if it's that critical.
But there's that wanker knob that lets you turn it on for fireproof mode, so it can operate while your building's on fire.
Yes.
I think most of those are built for, like, for me, it's like 2 types of people. Marketing folks, so they can slap on different, we've got five 5 widgets, whereas our competitors only got 4 of those scumbags. And it's like CIO bait. It's like, oh, we can tune this. It's like, oh man, as soon as I know I've had CIOs and like, the only thing my job is to make sure no marketing emails gets to his inbox, because the moment he sees shiny, here we go. Back down to buying something shiny that is going to be just, basically vanilla out of the box, if even that.
You just got to make sure that all that gets to his inbox is shiny.
Just pure distraction, just be too busy bouncing back and forth.
And like also like aversion therapy, right? Like he's gonna, because like if all you give him is shiny and like all of it is like just clickbait and traps and whatnot, eventually he's gonna be like, nope, no shiny emails for me, only plain text.
Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest struggle with, I don't know, at least at leadership. If you don't, for the buying stuff, it's like, what's the vision for the company, the division, the team? Like, what intent-based stuff? It's like, okay, well, if your product is covering, what your needs are right now, hopefully you have leadership that won't follow the shiny. They're like, we have what we need. Prove your case and that there's value in switching over or adding to. Come at any discussion is like, we're fine unless you prove otherwise. I mean, that should help.
And that perfectly fits into what we started the show with. I mean, yeah, there's reevaluating what you have, but there's also not jumping on every new thing. It needs to be the right fit, and you need to verify periodically that you're still on the right fit. And then also you need to do your due diligence on some new shiny thing to see if it is. Not just jump in because somebody saw the shiny thing and signed a contract or placed an order and didn't have the right people in the room to help them make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
How many companies would not be in the cloud today if people had done their property due diligence?
Would there be a cloud if people had done their due diligence?
I think there would be. I mean, there's definitely value. It's purely, if nothing else, for a sort of remote workforce or a hybrid type of concept with people working around it, to centralize it in a way that can make sense. It doesn't always make sense, but
there are some things that definitely belong in the cloud. I like email in the cloud, right? And there's, Lucid charts and things like that. Adobe Cloud's a pretty decent thing, but whatever. But I mean, to try to run your business 100%, this is one of the things. Nobody ever got fired from whatever. We thought it was a brilliant idea to take things 100% up to the cloud, whatever that might mean to that particular CIO or CISO. Yeah, people have been fired for that. People have been let go for that silly decision. Right. Because it's not a one size fits all, and it is exorbitantly expensive.
They have a sales guy that runs the calculator and says, oh, you're going to save millions of dollars per week. Whatever stupid calculation they came up with. Oh, and you can cut 3/4 of your head count. And you're going to save so much money. Your bonus is going to be so big this year. You should probably get your resume out before next year, though. Just saying.
Yeah.
There's also kind of a factor that I've noticed of, like, for companies that have started on-prem, go to cloud, or do a migration, is particularly if a company is kind of old school and they've done everything on-prem, they have systems in place that are heavily unoptimized. You can get away with, like, oh, our email just goes back and forth constantly. It's fine. And then they put that same system in the cloud where you're paying and compute data, and it's like, oh no, you can't do that. Well, no, I mean, you can, or you'll have stuff like connecting stuff in the cloud to your on-prem, and it's like, okay, well, previously everything, like, let's say email servers is a great example of on-prem versus up in the cloud. It's like everything is running locally. You have like, I don't know, 10 meg circuit because nobody's really browsing the internet too much, and then you go full cloud, and now your pipes are just constantly clogged, and nobody seems to understand why. Nothing was optimized. You never had to because you're running 1 to 10 gig ports everywhere. Who cares? But now in the age of direct internet access, that's changed that paradigm. I don't think migrations have kind of addressed that as much.
And I don't think the right solution for any company is either 100%. Well, there actually may be some companies that are 100% cloud or 100% on-prem. Most companies are going to be somewhere in the middle. You just need to know which workloads are which.
Yeah.
And some companies swing too far in one direction or the other.
We can always ask Parler how they liked having their 100% cloud infrastructure.
Oh, yeah, that oopsie doopsie.
Someone didn't like them, and their infrastructure just went poof. There's definitely that risk. I mean, I think that should
trying to find a new home.
Yeah, if you're going to run like a controversial business and you're running it pure cloud at the behest of, let's say, I don't know, Lord Bezos, it's like, all right, that's a gamble.
I would do multi-cloud then. Just abstract everything enough where you can have stuff running all over the place and not really a big deal. I mean, I guess it totally depends on what you're trying to do, but something like a social media app should be pretty easy to do something like that with. I don't know, easier than other things.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on who's running your stuff. So
it does.
Like, multi-cloud is not the easiest thing in the world.
It's not. It's trying to find things that you can do. I mean, it almost comes to the point where instead of using all their cloud native things, you pretty much just have to find providers where you can run your own containers and just do everything yourself. If you want to try and like go like full cloud, like real cloud, like not I'm running VMs on somebody else's stuff cloud, like I want to be a real cloud, whatever, you pretty much have to pick a provider, and that's what you develop for.
So I'm going to make a case that if you want to be real cloud, having a provider like give you their bespoke custom stack is not being real cloud. It's being real locked in with a vendor.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? But that's kind of by design, right? I mean, it's part of the marketing is like, I mean, what is it, the drug dealer things? First hit's free. Like, hey, it's great in here. And now that they're in, the trap comes down. It's like bill time. You're like, we want to leave. Like, oh, that'll cost you too. It's one of those extra traps that it'll cost you to let it go, but it might cost you a little bit less just to keep it running. And that seems very much by design.
Absolutely, it is. I just think that, like, okay, at some point, if you are consuming services beyond your basic productivity or beyond software as a service, you're, I don't know, consuming products as if everything was software as a service, like, app stacks or whatever, seems disingenuous to call yourself a fully fledged IT org, right? You should be able to handle a little bit of infrastructure. Do you want to? No, not necessarily, but you should be able. Should you be able to? Yes. And then when you do the math, it would seem like it would make sense to be able to do that on the regular.
I think there's also a hardware discussion to come in there. If you're working in OT networks or, there's stuff that hasn't changed in 10, 20, 30, even 50 years. And so running old hardware, running old things is perfectly acceptable or maybe even industry standard. And with cloud, it's in software as a service or anything as a service, it could change just like that. I remember when Skype was getting shut down for Teams and how many businesses were like, thought they were ready and that just hard shut down. So it's like, hey, what do we do? Could we call Microsoft? I'm like, you can. We tell you to go pound sand, but you can absolutely call them. And so that ever-changing landscape, you just have to keep up with. So that's difficulty in and of itself.
Right. I mean, in some ways, like that's a boon, right? Forcing your business and your users to not stay stuck on the old. Like the number of businesses are like, well, I know it's out of support for the last 10 years, but it still works, right? Like what could go wrong?
Or wildly insecure.
Yeah.
I think that tends to be the more selling point for SaaS for me. It's like, if Microsoft or Google Cloud or AWS is managing structure, then you can't have a cartoonishly old server in there. You'd have to,
Well,
through great effort, you could, but it's not easy.
At least that you're aware of.
Yeah, fair. I'll never see behind the curtain.
Yeah, Rick, you are unmuted. Make sure you're. Do we need to send somebody to your house? Oh. You
What
don't have
the hell
another
is
mic?
What the hell is that?
It's a little conference puck thing. Control Alt Delete.
Yeah. Clearly an Alibaba special.
You know what? Just use hand signals. Exactly like that.
Ooh,
Yes. Reboot. Rick, if you're still listening, reboot. 3 times. Let us know. So
GPF
Jesse, your
dashboard.
audio's working now, right?
Yeah, it took a little bit for it to connect. I don't know what was going. It connected to my phone first, and then I turned that off. And it just like got confused. So.
Yeah, I hate that. So this pair of this headset, I can connect to 2 different Bluetooth things at a time. But the problem is sometimes something grabs onto it and then just won't let go of it.
Yeah.
Because normally I can have it like connected to my computer and my phone, and like the phone rings, it automatically goes through. Or if I play something, it automatically goes. Yeah, you're wired. But
I stand by it.
yep.
Like these are perfectly good Bluetooth headphones, but
Yeah, the thing I like about this is like these are better than any of the other ones I've had. Plus, I can walk all around the house and still be able to hear, which is nice.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. Is the audio quite as good as my Sennheisers? They're wired? Probably not. But
I know when people are in like Bluetooth headsets, it has that like tinniness to it, and I probably have the same thing right now.
Oh
yeah, it's dual channels in there. There's like an audio one and then a Bluetooth for calls. It's faster response, but the potato quality is the trade-off. So
yeah, that's why I still use my real mic.
Right.
Yeah, either real
so I'm
mic
using
or
my headset as just headphones, and then
I
have a real mic.
Well, by the way, the no one ever got fired for buying. If I learned nothing from our time during COVID, just the amount of C-suite people and even like professionals that are using absolute potato quality mics and video cameras and everything.
Oh my god!
Oh
it's like you're making $1 million a year and you can't buy something decent. Driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Like my ultra cheap camera here.
Yeah.
It's fine enough.
I'm partial to the. I really like the DECT or DECT headset. Like the Plantronics, the Jabras are really good. I mean, you're going to pay like $300 for a call center type headset, not like a gaming type headset, but they seem to be really, really good. So I've been partial. I have a bias towards them.
Yeah, I like Mod Mic. Some of their stuff. I appreciate. You have a good set of cans and you just want to put a microphone on it. I use that with good success when I was still using wired stuff. I'm also an absolute shill for Poly because I like their equipment. I know it's pricey and stuff, but god dang, it's so good. I'm using a studio right now because I'm an idiot, but man, it's so nice.
This is just a cheap pair of Jabras, nothing crazy.
I'm a big fan of a good set of cans.
Talking about the headsets or just kind of verifying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Oh, now we can. He's alive.
Holy!
There you go.
The man.
I had to call tech support.
How is Shauna?
Nice. Shauna is good.
We need to get her on again. It's been a while.
Well, I told her that because you said something about wanting wanting her and Grendel to come on next week, and I sent her a
Yeah.
text, but I haven't heard anything yet.
Yeah, and hopefully Katie too. Because I want to do a show. Because I want to do a show where they teach us something. I mean, basically, all of us have started in help desk of some sort, or have done end user support.
Right.
And now we're all 10, 15, 20, 25 years into our careers.
Yeah. Almost 30. Yeah.
What I'm trying to remember what I said. Remind us what we heard.
Let's
Hold
see.
on.
Right. Definitely for
I'm
some
looking
of
at the
us,
wrong
it's
chat.
been 10, 20, 30 minutes since we talked to an end user.
Oh. What we forgot we knew about user support.
Yeah.
So all those people are either like help desky kind of jobs, or they escalate to people like us. Well,
Yeah.
let's flip it and have them tell us what we do poorly now. That
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure there's things I would like to know what those things are so that we can maybe address them.
One of the first things out of their mouths is going to be something about, did you Google that? Do you need to buy a book? Because I know that they hear a lot of that kind of crap, and it frustrated me when I heard it from the people I learned from. So I'm sure.
But did you start Googling it and try and figure it out yourself before you just escalate?
Yeah.
Well,
Although in our
happens,
defense, there was no Google when we started.
True,
right?
true.
So the best it got was Alta Vista and then Yahoo. That was as good as it got. So.
Well, what do you guys think about this? Because I generally see two models for help desk. You have the mail sorters, in which they don't take a crack at it. Usually this is places that they're lean on the help desk, and their only job is to get it to the department they think. And then there's the other options are like level ones, where they'll try to take a crack at it and then pass it on if they can't. I don't know. That's kind of the two
depends on
types
the
I
company and what the scale is. Sometimes you just need an answering service, and then they just route tickets.
Yep.
But at most lower play, I mean, ideally they'll be. I shouldn't even say ideally, because it would depend too much on the business and how they operate, whether they should be level
most of the
one or
larger
not.
companies that I've ever worked with, Johnson Controls and GE and big companies like that, it's just they need to have somebody for that level one. I'm just going to be a traffic cop. I'm going to answer the phone. I'm going to triage the call and get it into the right queue. That's
Well, yeah,
all
they
they do.
level 0.
Yeah, and then they
Basically.
get tossed up to the next level of whoever, and then it goes up the chain from there. So I mean,
I've seen, I don't know, I'm not a big a fan of the sort of mail server traffic cop, just because in practice it tends to be, oh, there's a keyword in here in this ticket, it's network or it's system or server, so I'm going to send it on, and then it comes to my queue, and I look at it, I'm like, it said the server crashed, I can't reach it on the network, and so you send it into the network queue because you saw network. Like, you had one job, bud. One job. You don't take a crack at it. You just sort mail. It's like when the post office sends you a mail and it's like your own city. Yeah.
well, and we also get what we train.
True.
Yes.
Right. So, I mean, the last company I was with, they were the triage people, the level 0 or level 1, whatever you want to call them. They were famous for that when I first started, and I trained them up. However harshly that might have been, was I mean, but it is our responsibility as the higher level people to train the entry level people. I don't like calling them lower level people, but to train these guys and to send in the tickets the right way, ask the right questions.
And I think it makes a lot more sense to have a level 1 help desk that's catching those calls instead of like a 0, like just a traffic cop,
like an answering
just
service.
because otherwise it's more touches, it's a longer time to resolution, more frustration on the users. They're actually trying to get help with their issue, whereas if they can call somebody and it's just something simple, or they just need to get routed to the correct person the first time,
right?
I mean,
I think sometimes that helps with the help desk people, right? Is reaching out to them, because as we've distance ourselves further and further from the end users. I mean, that's been my goal, as an ex-paramedic, to be honest. But we still need to have that relation, like, hey, what's the experience going to be like if I'm in, Susan in accounting, and it's gone through Brian, it went to Travis, and it went to Rick. It's like, they're going to be pissed. And then when it finally lands in Chris's lap, it's like, why are they angry? Well, because they just got bounced around 20 times, and we don't see that necessarily, but they felt it.
Well, I'd be mad.
Or what can be just as bad or even worse. Oh.
Unless you end up in my lap, Rick.
Well, that's where I want to be, but not on the phone. Sorry.
Well, another thing
Is
is
there a special ticket for
communication
that?
and
Just
those
checking.
tickets.
Yeah.
If that first person gathers a whole bunch of information on the call and then doesn't properly annotate the ticket, and then the next person it gets escalated to, and they have to call the user and get all the same information again. And then it gets escalated again. Because I've had that experience as a user. Well, not really as a user, as a customer of places where you keep asking me for the same information over and over and over and over. That doesn't seem like good on either of our ends.
Right.
No.
Can you tell me what the serial number of your product is? Awesome. And now what's the issue? Okay. Have you turned it off and back on again? Like, okay. You are like a product engineer.
Well,
Pays the bills.
Yeah.
That's a tough one though, Chris, because I mean, we as people like who know what we're doing, like all of a sudden I have an internet connection issue and I have to call Spectrum and say I've got problems with my internet. They go down that script and they do things that they know will 9 times out of 10 resolve an issue. But we, as technical people, have already done those troubleshooting steps, but they have to go through those things. And it pisses us off. It pisses me off every time I have to go through it. But I know I'm going to go through it. So therefore, I'm going to start the call already mad and tell them I've done all these things, right?
The thing that the two things that irritate me, because like people going through the list of things that statistically they should go through to get you to resolution faster, that doesn't bug me, right? Like triage is part of it. Like, and of course you should go to the obvious solution. I don't mind that. It frustrates me a little bit when I want to get past it, but like I'll go through the motions. Fine. What bugs me is when we're going through the motions and they're like, well, have you restarted it? Yes, I've restarted. Okay, can you do that again?
Yeah,
no.
I was just gonna say when I call up and say, here's the things that I've already tried to do, and they want me to do those things over again. So yes, I do agree with you on that.
Right.
That is super frustrating.
The other thing that frustrates me,
people have asked our users to do the exact same thing because the number one rule with people is Brian,
don't trust the user.
Users lie.
Bingo.
Same thing. Yeah.
Everybody lies. It's just what they lie
I need
about.
you to reboot your computer. All right, done. You didn't reboot your computer. That was way too fast.
Right.
Try again. I want to hear some beeps.
If you're going to lie to me, at least make some sort of effort. I'm not that much of an idiot, and I'm kind of insulted you think that I am.
I mean, don't worry, Travis. The check's in the mail.
Did you click the phishing link? No.
Yeah.
Well, here's the fucking logs that say you did.
Yeah, I have logs that say you did. Well, and it's not even always that they intentionally lie. It's sometimes they think they're telling you the truth or saying what they're supposed to say. It's like, no, I'm going to tell you something very simple. You just respond. Give me the information I'm asking for, not what you think I want.
Right.
Yeah.
There's also a cultural component too, because that's stuff that I've noticed, especially being a paramedic, the amount of times I would have people like, hey, did you take any drugs? Oh, no. It's like, hey man, I'm not the cops. Oh yeah, I took like all this stuff.
I took all the drugs.
Everyone. And so, I take that into the IT realm. It's like, what, if you have a department, again, say Susan in accounting and her manager is an absolute monster, will yell at her for making any mistake, those people are going to be hesitant. And so you have to engage them in a way that's like, hey, I'm your safe space. I'm I will find a way to lie to your manager for you so that you don't get in trouble if you just tell me the truth and, let's work through this.
Travis,
there
I
is a
admire
fear
that
factor.
about you, but I am not that guy.
You know what?
A little bit.
I truly am.
The way that I've towed that line is like, hey, I'm going to ask you some things, and you don't have to tell me the exact truth. You need to tell me enough so I have an idea of how to help you. And also, I'm not going to lie for you, but I don't necessarily have to disclose everything. And sometimes my memory is faulty.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I don't remember what website they were on. I think it was for their kids' school, right? Like, is it a no-no? Maybe, but nobody's getting mad at you for checking on your kids' grades.
Yeah. Pornhub University.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, probably the long-term solution. Generally, if like, to your credit, Rick, if it's like that's a consistent pattern where I have to lie because it's a brutal culture, it's like time to exit.
Yeah, that's not
that's
a place that you want to be in anyway. Because if Susie's manager in AP is that much of a hardcore pain in the ass to work for, the rest of the company culture is going to be similar, right? Other departments are going to be just as bad. So
the best thing you can do for Susie is start sending her links to job opportunities.
Yeah.
Look what I saw. But in the meantime, there's a level of, I don't know, maybe it's my old, hero complex kicking in, but it's like company culture is everyone, including me. I might be the absolute droplet of fresh air versus the 99% beatings. And I just don't want to be, the next person to punch down on someone who's already.
I don't know, and I'm not saying that you need to be, but I'm saying that you will get taken advantage of more often than not if you're willing to like bend the rules and not say anything to the manager or whatever, because ultimately you're there to fix an issue, right? And you're not teaching that person anything about what not to do or what the right thing to do when you say, okay, I'll just take care of it and I won't say anything to Susie's boss and whatever. Because no, they need to learn that they need to respect that machine, right? That PC that's in front of them with the software that they're using. That is a tool that we've provided for them to be able to use to do their job, right? So they can make money and take home money and feed kids, so they have a report card to look at, right? So I mean, if we enable them to keep just doing stupid things, and I don't mean stupid in a really derogatory thing in a way, but stupid things that keep us in business. So
yeah,
but they're going to do ultra stupid things and cause us to have more and more work to do. We've got to be able to be firm, but I certainly don't want to be an asshole about it. But
at the same time, Rick, I've totally heard you say to managers the same things that like I've said to them, like when they come to you saying, well, who moved those files into the other folder, after the accidental drag, click, and drop, right? Like who did it?
Yeah, that's like the crisis answer, moment, right?
The question is, it's like, okay, I can tell you, but why do you want to know? Well, somebody's got to pay for it.
Because this fist is going home and on
you
something.
Just did it last week, right? Like, or like, hey, can you get me their internet history? Why? Well, I don't think they're working very hard. I'm like, okay, that's a trust issue, right?
Yeah, that's a management problem that I have nothing to do with. Yeah,
exactly. And that's I've heard you give those responses to managers, and rightfully so. Don't solve personnel issues with technology solutions, right?
Yeah, there is no such thing as a technology solution to a personnel problem, a behavioral problem. There just isn't.
And like,
I'll quantify what like my previous statement is more like if
I'm
it's
picking on you, Travis. Mistake. You better qualify that shit.
Yeah. It's like if I'm looking at the situation and there's well within reason that it was an honest mistake and it's someone's just going to be crucified for it needlessly. Like if someone's like, oh, I accidentally clicked on the Pornhub, you're like, all right, that's not an accident.
Why was it open?
Yeah.
Is
that why you have 20 tabs of it open? Is that an accident
Travis.
too? Like, no. What's that, Chris?
I was looking for an excuse to use this little pop-up here.
Oh.
Choices. We all make choices.
We all make choices. Yeah. But it's the repeated mistakes and stuff that I usually get bent out of shape about as a support person, right? Because
Yeah,
Chris,
I mean, that's
we've
fair.
been through this before, buddy. You don't want to click on these things in this. Here's, and I've even written you a little checklist. Here's how it's done, bud. Don't skip any of these.
Right, but every time it's a bright, shiny button.
Oh my God, those are the things that drive me up a wall, right? So then
here's go ahead.
The crucifixion may occur.
Right.
I had an experience like my first official IT job. I suppose a big one out of school a couple of years back. Are we allowed to use company names? I don't want to put them on blast if that's not a thing.
All up to you.
All right, I don't.
We
really
try
It'll
to
be seen by-
avoid them, but
It'll be
sometimes they
seen by
slip out.
a whopping 3 people.
Travis, the guidance is we generally try to avoid them, but they have
Okay.
slipped through, and like you're not hurting anybody.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's not super critical. I would say it's a large health insurance company that's HQs in downtown. And there were users in mass were having issues, doing kind of having the same problems over and over. And it was with a Skype for Business 2015 deployment. And so I was brought in as a contractor to help out as unified comms engineer. And there was another contractor as well. And we were just kind of like scratching our heads like, why is everyone so pissed off? Because it was the assistants to the C-suite. Like they keep making the same mistakes, or like they're not following the training. And then we were like, oh, what was their training schedule? They're like, what training schedule? We just rolled it out. I was like, oh, that's why they're making mistakes. You set them up for failure. And now you're mad at them for being mad at you for being a dick. Okay.
That
makes
that
way
totally-
more sense.
Wow. Yeah. That's
It's like
on
you're following
IT
the
part.
breadcrumbs to like the Scooby-Doo unmasking. You're like, you were the villain after all the whole time.
And I'd have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you
Those
damn
darn
kids.
Yeah, they let me go pretty quickly after that. I was like, you guys just like set them up for failure, and they didn't really like that.
Sometimes people don't like the answers, but it's still that is the answer. That is the truth.
Brian,
Doesn't
you and
matter
I
whether
have
they
told
like
people
it or
that.
not.
Chris, you and I have told customers that, hey, this is on you.
It's
Now,
not
if
my
there's, like, a
job to tell you
record,
what
like,
you
you
want
put
to
them
hear.
through
It's my job to tell you what you need to hear,
That's exactly
which
right.
is the truth.
Yeah, if they went through like 3 training classes for the same thing and they're still like screwing the pooch, you're like, all right, that's on you. Yeah, I won't defend that.
Yeah. I mean, and there's only so much training you can give to end users. It's just
There
not
has to
giving
be
them
an
anything,
aptitude
though.
for a person to have that job, right? So there has to be that aptitude. Otherwise, people are untrainable, right? So there are people that are born to be mechanics. There are people that are born to be truck drivers. There are people that are born to be accountants, right? But if you're a truck driver that wants to be an accountant and you don't have that aptitude, you can't be taught things that you're just not capable of doing. Some people are
We're
just
back to the 80% of people in IT.
right.
You're saying I'm doomed
Or
to
at
be
least willing to
stupid.
put in
That's
the
what you're
effort to
saying.
overcome
That's
your
well,
adversity.
it is. It's pick on Jesse time. So let's have it.
Yeah, I can take it.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm being overly harsh, but I mean, clearly sometimes you run into these people that just shouldn't be doing what they're doing.
Yeah, no, I mean,
that's a great point, Rick, because there's so many. I mean, we can even go back to software, hardware, anywhere. It's like because I've run into issues with a system that I'm working on now, and they're like, and the issue is, the system's not working. I'm like, is it not working because it's bad, or is it because we're trying to put the square peg into the round hole, and it's not designed to do that? I'm like, okay, yeah, it's probably that. Like, same thing with people, we have a mechanic that's trying to do accounting. Like, are you sure this is really what you want to do?
Yeah.
Might not
Then
be.
you find the people that are doing something they're in a job, sweeping the floor and whatever, and that person should actually be the CEO of the company, right? So I've met those kind of people too. It's like, wow, You sit down and talk to these people, to a person that's in a whatever job they have, but you sit down and talk to them and realize that, hey, this person should either have my job or have this other job or whatever. They're just much better at what they're doing. So
I think George
Carlin.
Carlin.
that was actually my problem getting into tech, Rick. I was having a ton of problem breaking the glass ceiling, man. It was like, well, this person, we're looking for someone with more experience. I'm like, do you want someone to do it good or do you want experience? They're like, well, those two are the same. I'm like, no, you can do something forever and be horrible at it.
We wanted you on.
I mean, I've made a career out of that.
We wanted you on that glass ceiling, Travis, because you wear skirts all the time. So
it's a personal choice. I'm
Travis,
the lower
just start calling them kilts, and then you'll break through.
Yep.
Oh, the kilt.
As long as
it's
it
made of
touches
silk.
the
It's
floor.
definitely a kilt.
Hey, if it has a belt, it's a kilt.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't wear belts, so I don't know if that helps my case.
That makes a kilt a skirt. So
Yep.
without the belt.
Worth a shot.
There are rules to these things.
Yes,
We should know. Chris and I both wear kilts at least a couple of times a year. So
Indeed.
You're feeling
Usually
easy breezy,
different
beautiful?
ones.
Yep.
What
What's
was
that,
that, Travis?
I was saying when you're feeling easy breezy, beautiful, cover girl.
Yeah.
Anytime I can cover girl, I will.
Yep.
No, I was saying, like, we wear kilts at least a couple of times a year, and usually different ones.
Yeah.
Saying the same
You
one
get
at the same
crowded
time,
otherwise.
make it weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only weird if you let it be.
That is 100% true.
Wow. Look what I just started.
You
Anyway.
have to live with the monster you created, Rick.
Yes,
You gotta live with
indeed. So we've gotten away from no one ever got fired for buying X into next week's show.
So
Yeah. And now kilts.
I just
We're
want to.
well-rounded here.
Yes,
So-
it was the natural progression.
So I want to bring it back because I went ahead and asked ChatGPT, what have people been fired for buying? That was my question. What have people been fired for buying? And I probably should have been a little more specific. So what do you think people have been fired for buying?
Ooh,
Now,
I'm
check-
gonna say
Probably
I'm gonna say a
ahead.
boat.
too much fun in Vegas on the company credit card.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
I think that one actually counts as two of these. All right. Anybody else?
I'm almost afraid to say anything.
So number
I'm
one.
gonna say,
Go ahead.
I was thinking just like outright illegal stuff where like it pops up on the statement as like, cocaine or something, just even if it's a name thing, it's just like, very obvious.
Yeah.
Say like straight up drugs.
Okay.
Contraband.
Okay. Travis, you got any theories on what people might have gotten fired for
Jesse.
purchasing? Jesse, oh, Jesus.
How much have you been drinking?
No, he's Rick, not Jesus.
Not that much. Not enough.
At that beer fridge.
I mean,
I don't know, like, stock in the new Coke or something like that. I don't know.
fair enough. All right. So number one, inappropriate or offensive purchases.
Yeah.
Things like offensive materials, adult content.
Yeah.
Whatever. Second, unauthorized personal expenses. If an employee uses company funds to make, whatever. So I think those two are the unauthorized
Winners.
credit card in Vegas.
Yeah, blatantly disregard.
Also, like the Coke and the drugs. I think those are unauthorized personal
Yeah.
purchases.
I mean, depends on your business, right?
you gotta call it
Right.
like market research and product sampling or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it counts, but there was that hedge fund manager. It was maybe 3 years ago that lost his company obscene amount. It was like $80 billion in like 30 seconds because they fat fingered some orders.
Yep.
That does happen. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah,
That
it
does happen. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll
How did,
be a
like-
good use of AI, like cross-checking humans. Like, hey, did
Are
you
you
really
sure?
mean this many zeros?
Yeah.
There should be like cross-checking anyways. I mean, I think there's like a reliance on AI for like, hey, we should have AI, check against an accounting. It's like, or you could just, run it by your accounting person real quick and like eyeball it. Just a sniff check.
I get where you're coming from, but
Mhm.
like I've known traders and the velocity that they want to be able to trade at,
That's fair.
because like everybody's using the fastest tools possible, and it really is sometimes the like seconds between profit and loss.
Milliseconds.
Milliseconds.
So-
Yeah.
That's fair.
We have to be in a building directly across the street from the exchange. No kitty corner, because
Mhm.
They
That's-
build.
It's
They
gotta
build
go
it.
like
414.
Yeah.
times
If you Google it, you can find that they built a line of sight radio tower line from New York to Chicago to hit the Comex.
Yeah.
By line of sight, basically. All these radios peppered in the exact straight line, rather than taking the internet.
Probably just
Wow.
a microwave relay.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that they want to do with Starlink, is because going from like New York to London, it's actually quicker to go up, because between satellites, you're going at the speed of light. Over glass, you're only going at 80% of the speed of light. Even counting going up to the satellites, once they have the satellite to satellite laser links, it will be actually faster to take Starlink point to point for long distances, because you need to make up that.
Yeah.
You need to time budget for that just to get up to the satellite and back down again. So for short distances, obviously, fiber is still going to be faster, but you start getting to like thousands of miles, it'll be quicker to go up and across, just because you get to use the full speed of light, because it's in a vacuum and not through glass.
You know what? We'll just make really straight Hyperloop tunnels that go straight through the Earth instead of following the curvature, and then we'll cut even more distance out of it. It'll be great.
It'll get you to your final destination very quickly.
Yes, yes.
So, number 3, 4, and 5: conflict of interest, fraudulent activities, and violation of company policies. So, ChatGPT throwing out wisdom.
It is kind of funny. I don't know if like from my experience in the military, is we'd have they call NJP, non-judicial punishment, and they would generally have everyone come in. It's like mini courts where you'd see like behavior like that. Someone used I don't know if that made its way into the civilian world, but the joke was like you'd get a company card or a Gubby card, and then someone attempted to, well, I think they successfully bought a $25,000 yacht using a government credit card because they couldn't get one on their own and were making like payments. And I don't know if it's technically true, but it was like an urban legend. But seeing stuff of that nature, of like using, because the weird thing about a lot of company cards is that it's on your credit. It goes like the business pays it, but if you default on a company credit card, it goes in your name and against your credit, but you don't build any credit, which is crazy to me.
That's interesting.
You get all the risk and none of the benefits.
Yeah, I wouldn't sign up for that. I just expense it all.
Yeah, I had to do it at B plus, and they ran a credit check and all that shit, and it went on my credit.
Mm-hmm.
That was 15 years ago.
That sucked. Yeah, they made me get a credit card, and I was not happy about that shit at all.
Yeah.
I hate those requirements. Like, no, you're required to have a company card. What for?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're going to ask you to buy stuff periodically. I'm like,
how about you buy it?
Really?
Give my manager one.
You don't.
I think
you don't
like
have
if
a
I'm
purchasing
traveling,
department?
I'll just use my own card and
expensive back. Just charge
Expense
it back.
Yeah.
Well, I'm actually a big fan of company cards personally because it's leverage, at least as far as I'm concerned. Like legally speaking, I am liable for the card, but for practicality purposes, if I put something, let's say I have a business expense, I go out for a dinner or whatever, I pay $100 for the dinner, and I put on my card, it's like the company's like, well, maybe we'll comp you, maybe we won't. But if I put it on the company card, then you have at least a little more leverage because it'll look bad on them. They'll rack up fees. They generally don't let it go default. The company will pay it out just to save face. So I like it just purely because it's not on my bank account. It tends to go that direction, I think.
I'll tell you not to go to work for Honeywell. They will let you twist in the wind for pennies.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh no, your per diem on travel is $25. This is $25.25. You owe the 25 cents.
You will need to cut us a check, and then when it clears, then you'll get your next paycheck.
Yeah.
I don't mind a credit card. I mean, whatever. The credit card, the credit check hit. It kind of bangs against your credit rating for a little bit, and then whatever. So, I like having it because I can buy shit that I need, right? So,
like a $25,000 yacht.
I do have a $30,000 limit on my company credit card.
So
just put the company logo on it. You'll be good.
Speaking of yachts, I think on Friday, there's a yacht that was owned by a Russian oligarch that's currently in Antigua that is going up for auction.
Oh, okay. Are
you putting in your bid?
I know that they
it's like 74 million. So like I'm gonna have to pool a couple of people. I could scrape most of that together.
But, I might need one or two investors.
Right, like I just I don't want to over leverage myself.
Yeah.
Smart.
Cut into the cash reserves.
I met a guy who is an engineer on the boat over this past weekend. So there you go.
Yeah, they've seized a couple of those.
Yep. And I'm like,
because most of them all fled the country when stuff started, which is kind of like well, I mean, they're the people that were trying to get the hell out. I'm not sure how much they're necessarily the bad guys. I mean, probably they did something, but that.
In this case,
how do you think they got that money? It's legitimate.
The owner is still there, is still in Russia. They were just moving the boat out of European ports so that European countries wouldn't
bouncing
seize
around, trying to keep it in international water. And
yeah, well, they moved it to Antigua because like they're super like, they don't want to get in it with anybody. But they will absolutely take you straight to the cleaners if you're an individual.
Well, here's a thought. Like we're on that thing about no one ever got fired for buying X. Looking at like super yachts and yachts in general, they like require a certain level of maintenance and a crew. And that kind of makes me think on the IT side, okay, I bought a system. It requires 5 engineers and we have currently 3 engineers in our employ. And it's like, so unsustainable system.
Yeah.
And are we going to get 2? No, you will not get 2 more. You will deal with the 3, even though you need 5. Like, to me, that should be kind of in the fireable area of like, you've basically screwed us all wholesale.
I'm sure at some point that's happened.
I mean, the reality is that even for those, like, somebody buys the system that requires 5, you've got 3. Inevitably, the way that plays out is the first person to go is one of the 3. Right? Like,
now there are
whoever's
2.
got the most talent.
Now there's 2.
No, it's not about whoever's got the most talent is not the one that's going to get fired first. They're going to be the one that
leave
leaves
voluntarily
after they. Yeah. So like
Oh.
you're going to have number 3 get let go because like they felt like they could, and like things aren't going the way they're supposed to. And then the number 2 is somebody that leaves voluntarily because of the 2 remaining, they've got the most talent.
And
then
they're getting work to death.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when the manager comes in and says, we got to fire the 3rd person, at that point, executive leadership is like, really? Tell us more.
I don't know if I've ever seen that happen in the wild, because I have seen places with a 100% turnover on a team, and they're like, must be the market. I'm like, really? 100%,
Really?
you say? 100%.
Like if
Interesting market.
So if it's 100% turnover because of like staff leaving, I've seen businesses delude themselves, right? If it's managers like gutting a department, but not all at once, because like, well, so-and-so, they just weren't pulling their weight. And then 6 months later, so-and-so not pulling their weight. And like, it doesn't take too long for HR and execs to be like, this isn't you cleaning house. Because if you were cleaning house, you'd be done by now. Right? This is you coming up with another excuse for a missed deadline. I've seen that happen. It takes a little bit of time, but I've seen it happen. I've also seen it go the other way, where they just completely they buy into the lies.
I just don't see as much as that sort of like I don't know, call it coming to Jesus moment, or a sort of like pause for reflection. Is like, are we doing crazy stuff? Is this are we doing something really bad? I don't know if I've honestly ever seen it. If I have, it's been like moderate at best.
There's certainly not enough pauses for reflection in IT. I can't speak about other business units, but definitely isn't in IT.
No,
and
I don't
that is part of what this topic for today was. I mean, it's look at what you're doing and make sure everything you're doing is right. You should be doing that periodically.
Right.
Recheck yourself against your 5-year plan, your 3-year plan, your 7-year plan. What are those plans still accurate? Are you still aimed at the correct thing? Are you still on a trajectory to hit it, if that is still where you want to aim?
Yeah. So I was working on a project recently, and it's been rolling over the past, 6 to 8 months, actually more than that at this point, in which there was such a paradigm shift of a new system for field techs that, there's sites that had, I think at most 100 meg direct internet circuits. And now they're utilizing a system that requires like 100 techs all at the same time downloading a 1 gigabyte file within a 30-minute to an hour window. And things are running slow. It's like,
you need some aggressive caching somewhere.
What? And so, as the stuff starts coming out... This is my friend
out, Riverbed. Or bigger pipes.
Yeah. Wow. So it's interesting that there are systems like that get deployed, and there isn't that sort of like, is it that we're asking too much, or is it these systems were designed so poorly that someone should be fired for it, for even, not addressing the sort of elephant in the room of, hey, is this even supportable in any fashion by not just one team, not one person, but in the entire organization? The answer is, like, anyone even cursory looking at it, be like, no, this is...
No. At my last company, they decided to ship their systems up to what they thought was a cloud. It was just simply a co-location that was managed. And I asked the question about 2/3 into the discovery phase and what they were going to, all this planning. We had all these meetings. And I said, has anybody considered the bandwidth that we're going to need? And they're like, well, we have a 250 meg connection. I started laughing. I mean, you people are you're wanting to move all this work up into the cloud to what you think is the cloud, but you haven't taken into consideration the needs of that. You know, and they're like, we're going to send people to school to learn Linux and we're going to do this. And I'm like, you guys need to worry about the infrastructure first before you can even think about that. You're not going to do anything on a Linux server up in the cloud if you can't get your data there. So
yeah, because you guys had obscene data needs. It was, I mean, the sizes of those file servers and the amount of traffic they were getting to move that kind of stuff into the cloud.
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No.
And the files were small. That was the thing, because you know how a big file transfers actually relatively quickly. So if you got a 1 gig file, it goes. But if you have 1,000 or 1,000,001 meg files, it'll take all damn day.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. And that's what this company had. It's a bunch of tiny files.
Yeah, there were a couple megs each, right?
Yeah, just 30 or 40K, some of them. You know, and
TCP don't fuck around, and Slow Start don't fuck around either.
No.
Yeah.
Windows,
and you can only
man.
tune that stuff so much when it's a bunch of small transfers. It's you never really hit your stride.
No. And I wanted to try to do layer 2 connections between facilities in the cloud or whatever, and got shot full of buckshot for that suggestion. And yeah, it was a mess. But whatever. It's a former company for a reason. So
yeah.
But that kind of leads into like the whole like design, test, deploy model. Like I always call it like surprise birthday parties. Is like, you know, oh yeah, we've been planning this in secret from network team, from the server team or security team. I think network and security tends to be, in non-mature environments, tends to be the last to know. And usually it's like as it's about to launch and you have a choice of like being the bad guy of saying, no, we can't support this. Or, you know, surprise, you know, good luck trying to support this. And you're just kind of backed into a corner of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
The developers and the sales guys said this would work just fine.
No problem.
I always took the approach that said, yeah, we can do that. Here's what it's going to take to get you there.
Yeah.
Right? So
how much money and how much time?
Yeah. Yeah. Quick, easy, fast. Pick any two. All right. And let's work towards that end.
All right, guys. I think I got a ding dong ditch. We got a event that we're going to be going to tomorrow. So we got to do the packing and finish things up.
I knew you would be just wham bam. Thank you, ma'am. I knew this was going to happen, Travis.
That's how I roll. Quick and dirty.
All right. Before you leave, Travis, I got a thing for you.
Okay.
Just a second.
Won't take long.
Those are new picks. Interesting.
What? Yeah.
Does this look swollen?
So we're going to show the cloud on the cloud.
Yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Yo, dog, where do you like clouds?
Uh-huh.
So we put some clouds in your cloud so you can cloud while you cloud.
Honestly, there was one that I found that was like, yo, dog, I heard you like the cloud. So we're going to let you manage the cloud with your cloud. I couldn't find that one, so you got that one instead.
Second best.
Second best.
That's all right. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun. Thanks for letting me bring on, and
thanks for joining us. Good luck at your thing. I hope all your automation automates the shit out of all your lights and sound.
There you go, Travis.
If not, it will be better next year.
Yeah,
that's right.
Either way, it'll be better next year because you'll tweak the shit out of it and add new stuff. Yep.
You either loved or hated. Nothing in between, baby.
Make sure you get video. Maybe do like a demo walkthrough. You know, like cell phone you in the middle of nowhere doing a walkthrough on your gear. That could be.
I'm gonna live stream it. We're getting internet connectivity if I can.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'm flexing on this.
I like it.
Nice.
Do it.
Internet connectivity on a mountain. We're gonna big cloud around your cloud filled with little clouds. That's great. Good times.
I like that it's spelled HERD.
I heard you like clouds.
Nice.
All right,
guys.
All right.
You have a wonderful
We'll let
day.
you go. Thanks for joining us. Have a good day.
Take care, everyone.
Safe travels.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
All right, he's gone. Let's talk about that fucker.
Heard that, Rick. You're dead to me. See ya.
Seriously, let's hope that Travis doesn't end up dead in jail or otherwise.
Oh, I hope he has a successful whatever it is he's trying to do. I
Right.
don't know what some kind of presentation. I just hope it goes well for him.
He's doing a thing in a place with some stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Burning Man thing, but like a smaller version of that.
Oh.
So he has a tent with like he's using a home assistant and a bunch of. He's got synchronized LEDs and sound and all kinds of stuff. He posted about it on LinkedIn. He's got all his schematics and all his diagrams and stuff. It's pretty cool.
So is he one of those
It's all
guys that
solar
lights his house
powered.
up
He's
at
got a cradle
at
point.
Christmas time playing like Metallica songs or Trans-Siberian Orchestra stuff?
Yeah, this is a smaller version of that.
Yeah.
More drugs though.
But
More
it's a
drugs.
start. It's something to play around with.
There you
It's
go.
cool as hell.
Yeah, a little peyote smoking, and we're gonna light the fucker up.
You're gonna see gods you didn't even know existed. So.
There you go.
New ones and old ones.
Yeah.
Oh,
This
that's
one.
awesome. Well, hope he has a good time. That'll be cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry,
Yeah,
kids.
he's out
This
for the
one
next
was
week and a half.
too good to
Oh, boy.
resist.
Wow.
I like the double motivationals one.
I do believe we've hit the inception level.
Yes.
But who doesn't like a good exhibit meme? Come on.
Oh,
Probably-
God, we lost Jesse.
Apparently, Jesse.
At this point,
Ah,
I'm wondering if Exhibit likes exhibit memes anymore.
Yeah. Brian, what are you enjoying? What is your beverage tonight?
oh, it's just Wild Turkey 101.
Oh, there you go.
Sipping on
Chris, what are
something
you
cheap.
imbibing in?
My last beverage was a Killian's Irish Red.
Oh, there you go.
And prior to that was a little bit of ice cream. Prior to that was a really bad scotch. Anytime you have to refrigerate it to make it palatable, it's really bad.
Ooh,
And prior to that was gin and tonic.
all righty. Then you got Jesse. Are you having a cocktail this evening?
I'm having Moon Man.
Oh,
There you
good
go.
man. It's good enough.
Jenny and I stopped at, I can't remember the name of this brewery, but it was in Spearfish, South Dakota. And we bought a couple of growlers. So I think I'm going to go upstairs and pour myself. I can't remember what it is. It's some kind of summer ale or whatever, but it is super light and it's really crisp and it's tasty. So I'll be back in 2 minutes.
No, okay.
Don't rush.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, he's gone. Now we can talk about that fucker. Sorry.
Yeah, fucker. Yeah.
I couldn't resist. So yeah. What else is new? I think we've reached the dead air socialization portion of the
Long weekend coming
Yeah.
up.
long
That's
weekend
fine.
coming up.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You guys that could vacation. I just have days I don't work.
Fair enough.
All right.
I mean, being a salaried employee, I also have days I don't work. I'm paid for all of them. Not
Yes.
very well.
Well, so I mean, I guess I am also paid for the days I don't actually work. I just get paid less for the days I don't actually work.
And see me, I get paid the same relatively low rate for every
Oh,
day.
Well, baby steps.
I'm paid 24/7, man.
Yeah.
I got paid good yesterday.
Did
Long
you?
day. Yeah.
Would you?
13-hour day.
Oh.
I had to be up early, and then I got called at 45 minutes before I left because no one else would answer the phone. So I was the guy, and then I stayed until 7:30 at night. So
I assume somebody was supposed to be assigned to that particular thing happening.
No.
No, well, why not?
I don't know. I didn't ask. I think the thing could have happened any time this week. I think they really wanted it done yesterday, just
Okay.
because. So. Oh, quiet. He's back.
Yeah.
Did you talk about that fucker?
That fucker.
Yeah.
Nothing but bad things.
So we actually even had a glass from the brewery, Crow Peak Brewery in Spearfish, South Dakota.
That's all right.
Yeah. Stuff. Texture.
Yes.
Well,
How was your Wyoming trip?
It was wonderful. It did not want to come home.
Weather was good.
The weather was real good. It rained on us most of the way out there, and the day we got there, it was raining. And Saturday, so we left on a Friday. We drove out on Friday, right? Yeah. Saturday it rained, misty, kind of light rain or whatever, and then it quit. The truck's a mess because I mean everything's a dirt road out there. But the weather got good after that. It was cool. We didn't have any hot days, so it was a great trip. I got a lot of work done. Spent 2 days on a lawnmower, which isn't a bad thing. So it was a good trip.
sounds like it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna go ahead and just pull the trigger on Starlink, but I'm gonna go the professional or whatever they call that, the $250 a month deal. So I get good bandwidth and an IP address.
Yeah.
So
Good. You can get the plan that you can take mobile as well.
no, I don't think
Are
so.
you gonna keep it with you, or are you gonna leave it in Wyoming?
I'm gonna leave it in Wyoming
Okay.
because it doesn't. I really don't need it here. And when we go camping and stuff, it's either we're camping and I don't want technology, right? Or we're at a car show and Ginny's getting ready for her contests and this and that and the other. So it's so I just don't see the need for a mobile solution, right? So
I mean, what I could see is instead of going for a long weekend or whatever, you make a week out of it, but it's a working week for you and putts around in the evenings. And
I suppose
saying?
I can't work remotely for more than a day or so.
Oh,
Yeah, so and it's my job requires me to be at the job. So
Present.
yeah, I guess
Present.
theoretically.
Thank you, Chris. That's all good though. I mean, I'm happy with my pay scale, and I like the work, and I like the company. So, I mean, I got nothing to complain about.
She's a keeper until she's not.
Yep.
Perfect.
So,
Were you? Aren't you camping this weekend, Jesse?
Me? Oh, Jesse.
No.
Yeah, I am. Got no joke, the last public campsite in all of southern Wisconsin for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
Okay.
Wow. Where are you camping at?
Governor Dodge State Park.
At Dodge? Yeah, that's a nice park.
Okay.
It is nice. I've been there before. Yeah, it's really pretty. It should be a
I've been
good
hiking
time.
there.
Really good hiking there. Yeah.
Are you in a tent or a travel trailer?
Yeah, definitely tent. That's what I did with my family growing up. So it's kind
Sure.
of nice camping, and I definitely bring the air mattress and all the accoutrement with me. So you know, it's definitely comfortable. And we're just gonna do even just nothing would be perfect. So.
Right. I haven't done tent camping in probably close to 30 years, and I'm really not. I'm way past tent camping. I did a lot of it when I was a kid. You know, I mean, we go up in the Rockies in Colorado and do some serious tent camping up there, and in the Sierra Nevadas in California, and what down in the desert in Arizona. We've done in. To me now, camping it's a queen size bed with a door on the bedroom and a kitchen, air conditioning, and a bathroom with a shower.
Yeah.
Right, that's you know, and I can pull it behind the truck.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Oh, you meant the camper?
Yes,
yeah,
I
camper.
It's a glamping.
The latest very expensive thing that I bought because I did buy it on sale for camping was since all my tools are Milwaukee tools, I bought their fan, which is just like a portable like 18-volt fan for just having that on in the tent at night, which is just like night and day.
Mm-hmm.
So just to have the air circulation there. But,
sure.
you know, I'm pretty bulletproof. I can, you know, handle whatever. So
if you can get a fan running, you can build a swamp cooler.
Yeah, you can build a swamp cooler. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, there's somebody on Facebook or whatever that there's been these videos going around where it's an ice chest with an air intake, a hose, and an air outlet with hose, and you fill it with ice, right? And it's got this little fan going on, and it sucks air in and blows it out. And these people are selling it, and they're getting stupid money for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
why would you sell that, or what? More accurately, why would you buy that when it costs you basically nothing to build it?
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Brian, you've met the internet, right?
Yeah.
Real.
The internet and I are on first name basis. It's a love-hate relationship. Thank you very much. We should get that. Should be the topic of the beginning of a show. One of these times, what do you love about the internet and what do you hate about the internet?
Oh yeah, that would be a good one.
I think that would be fun. Yeah,
that would be a fun one because we all like easily grew up. We all saw the birth of the internet, the maturity of it. You know, the golden times and
the slow death of those golden times.
The slow death of the golden times and the fucking just absolute colossal dumpster fire that it is today.
In the glorious times we live in, every morning we get to wake up to a new maximum entropy in the universe because of the state of the internet.
Yeah.
It really has changed our lives for I'm not going to say for
the better and the worse.
Yeah.
For better and worse. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just it's a mess. So look at what it's done to our political system in this country.
Oh, it's a disaster. Yep. It's over. Like game over.
And news.
Everything's fine, man. Come on. Everything's fine.
No, it's not, Chris. Shut up. The economy is collapsing, Chris. There you go.
Fine. Everything's fine.
It's all good.
Perfectly normal.
That reminds me of that meme that was going around in one of the Gulf Wars where the guy was like, "There's no American presence here," and behind him is a Apache helicopter.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh my gosh, Brian, how's work been for you?
Oh, fine. Busy.
Yeah, still busy.
Yeah, it'll be really busy for at least the next 6 months.
Oh, that sounds terrific because I'm going to need some of your time. Soon.
Well, I still have weekends.
That might be when
for now.
It's going to be like 5/12s.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the more you work, the more you get paid, right?
This is true.
Yeah.
So
everything is fine. That's basically the whole economy right now.
And honestly, like 512s is not that bad. I mean, I've been slacking a little bit, but normally I would get up at like 6. I'd start working at like 6:30. Work until 6:30. I'm still done before my wife even gets home from work.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
it's not that bad.
You
No.
just
I
work
don't have
out
to
your
commute.
time. It's fine.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. But getting paid for it. So, I'm good.
Yep.
And I can cut that back. That's just me trying to give Jesse's company the time as well.
Believe me, we need all the help we can get.
I know. I'm trying to crank through as much as possible.
Well, we
So
need to have
if I could-
some. There needs to be some talks,
Yep.
about where we're going.
Yeah, because one of your issues is kind of what spurred on this whole thing. It's MPLS.
Like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
I just
Why do you keep renewing an expensive solution with expensive add-ons that don't actually work, and you were lied to during the sales process? They don't do what they said they will, and they never will. And they said they'd be free, and they're extremely expensive.
Yeah, because we have a phone vendor that requires it.
Well,
Are
your
you sure?
phone vendor. Well, it's
They
not even the
require
vendor.
MPLS?
It's your third party support.
Yeah, it's a third party support, and I mean that there has to be some conversations happening. There's no way that we can. All that stuff's going the way of the dodo bird, because anybody is running the same phone system on not MPLS.
See, it would
What
probably be
system is it?
easier if you were running one phone system instead of 4. I mean, maybe.
Probably, yeah.
What phone system requires MPLS?
It's the QoS requirement.
Oh, okay.
So how do you QoS on the internet? Well, you don't. But because these fucking phone guys and these voice guys are older than dirt, and the system's older than dirt, the requirement for QoS is kind of gone the way of the dodo bird, at least on the internet itself, because we're all talking on the internet right now.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's just fine.
And it's just fine. I will still say it's probably required at your edge. It's some sort of something is required at your edge if you don't have unlimited bandwidth. I will give you that.
Sure.
But to say that the old school QoS where you're doing it
end,
that is way
ship has
beyond
sailed.
If that was the case, I mean, couldn't you? I mean, because MPLS and all the little snicketies that you have to do with that, you could probably save a shit ton of money and have better bandwidth if you were doing layer 2 connections even, and just farm it out to your phone. Well, a carrier like Spectrum or AT&T that'll do layer 2 between places.
You sound like me 3 years ago.
Okay, fair enough.
It's a
then he gave up hope.
It's a big ship to steer.
Yeah,
so,
I suppose.
And sometimes you just got to kind of force it in, without lube to get the point across. And I think the point has been gotten across where we need all the things that we know we need. We need resiliency and bandwidth and the QoS stuff.
DIAs everywhere, SD-WAN. You've already got all the licensing. We just need to do it. Well, you need all the DIAs, but that's a work in progress.
Yeah. The QoS stuff has gone the way of the dodo bird, I would say, especially in its traditional form. Like it's over. So
Well, and the only reason it's critical right now for you guys is because you have plants with hundreds of people working there that have 3 and 5 meg circuits. Can you even order a 5 meg circuit anymore?
I doubt it.
I'm sure AT&T.
I mean, like a DIA.
One.
If you called up AT&T and said you only wanted a 5 meg DIA, they'd laugh at you.
Yeah, you're not rolling out of bed for 50
like we're on the moon.
50 meg. You're at 50 meg.
Yeah, we start at 50 meg, and that's for like if you're way out.
At 64K per person on a phone call, a 50 meg circuit will carry a lot of phone lines, a lot of phone calls.
Oh yeah.
And the issues, I mean, as low of bandwidth that we have, to be fair, and our phone carrier, or not our carrier, our third-party vendor, has admitted the problems with the phone system that we have not been to like where you would generally see congestion, poor voice quality, garbled audio, things like that. Mm-hmm. They even say like we don't get any issues brought to them where it's a voice quality problem, like a QoS problem, where you would think, okay, my voice is all fucked up, like I have congestion somewhere or packet loss or something like that. It's something else. So it works pretty good, I gotta say. But the QoS requirement, I think, is dead in the water. I think you just need to get away from that and just ignore the vendor. Just do it. They're fit to at least 15 years behind the curve anyway. Yeah,
just do it. Everything will be fine. We will make sure that everything is fine.
Yeah, you just flip over to your VPN connections and just not tell the fucking phone people.
And I've tried to do that where I could do that. Some things I can do, some things I can't do. So,
no.
But yeah, I mean, all this stuff is, I mean, they just got to take their medicine. They got to get their head out of the sand as it's been in for the last 10 years. Like, come on.
You guys have so many other issues that are going to be solved. Well, they won't be solved by this. They'll be alleviated by this. So many stupid things. So Chris and Rick, you're going to like this. Oh, we just lost your audio. Oh. What's the number one bandwidth utilizer or number one app in your environment, Jesse?
Bandwidth?
For bandwidth connections.
Probably just either Office 365 raw internet. Oh, DNS. That's what you're saying. Internal. Yeah, internal is DNS. That's because DNS is so fucking misconfigured. It's insane.
Oh, God. DNS is misconfigured. AD is misconfigured. Site and services are just a wreck.
There is one DNS server that is literally being raped all day long. Yeah. Like raped. Yes, it was always DNS. It's always DNS.
It's always DNS. Why is it always DNS? DNS is so simple to do right. Why is it always DNS?
And don't go fixing it.
I think people
cause an outage. I know because I've done it. Hey, that's not
turned on scavenging.
Click.
Oh, yeah.
Rick was the guy that turned on scavenging.
That was me. I'm like, why don't you guys have fucking scavenging on? You're fucking yourselves.
Click.
Oops.
What did that do?
What they had servers that had dynamic IP addresses, they didn't. They had dynamic entries. So when scavenging came on, because we didn't have AD integrated DNS and things weren't, I turned on scavenging and all those records went away.
Yeah, servers that weren't self-registering anymore and had dynamic entries that were like a decade old. Well, maybe not a decade old. That's an exaggeration, but years old.
Yeah.
So like as soon as scavenging was turned on, all those old records went away. Well, those were all like current in use, and because servers weren't re-registering themselves anymore, it just bloop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I
you
shut
need
it down.
you need DNS scavenging turned on.
Yeah, it should be turned on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It should have always been turned on. I don't know why somebody turned it off, because it just made it so that a condition could arise where servers weren't registering themselves anymore. And
Microsoft DNS, Microsoft does some stupid things. They did stupid things with the TCP stack or the IP stack. They did stupid things with DNS. They did a stupid thing with WINS. They should have never even fucking come out with that silly bastard. But they should have never made scavenging a thing. It should have just been built in and always on, and never had the option to turn it off. It should just been a thing.
Yeah.
So
because we got records that are years and years old.
yeah,
how long did it take to open that console and
you got to wait to open the DNS console. You like grab a Snickers, man. Like it's gonna be a minute.
Take a walk around the block, make yourself some coffee.
Oh. And it goes
drive
on
home,
forever.
have lunch, come back, and wasn't it like 45,000 records, something like that?
Holy shit!
I know I had to.
Like, there's not that many IPs that are in use. How do you have that many records?
You had to do the trick inside of the MMC snap-in where you had to adjust the number of available entries that could be displayed.
Yeah.
And like, I forget what the default is, but you just basically had to change it to 9999999.
Wow.
So, I got a call next week with one of the lead systems guys to go over at least the sites and services addressing to make sure all those align to all of the sites that we have. I know a few instances where it's just not right, just wrong.
Have them fix those reverse zones too.
I asked
all the missing reverse zones.
I asked the question if reverse DNS is set up at sites, and the guy said, I will save the name to protect the innocent. He said that all DNS is set up the same at all sites, which didn't answer the question.
Nope.
It's not a good answer.
And that's how I left it. So,
yeah.
Wow.
When a DC does not have a reverse entry, I can 100% tell you that there is not a reverse zone for that network. There's no way a DC will not put in its own reverse record. There's just
because those are the automatic pointer records that get added in.
They get built, yeah. As soon as you create a reverse zone, it'll automatically populate domain controllers and the AD stuff that it needs in that zone.
Yeah, because a rando server, okay, maybe something's fucked up and it won't show up. A DC will be, the reverse will be there if the reverse zone is present. You can't not have it. It all happens automatically.
And what's like the negative?
But the zone needs to be there.
Yeah, if the zone's not there, then you're screwed, right? So
yeah,
you should be in the proper sites, right? Because if you go into sites and services and your networks are in the wrong zone, or your zones are in the wrong, sites and all that shit, you're gonna have trouble. I'm scared to even ask about replication and how long that takes.
Everything replicates to one. All of the connectors replicate to one HQ, like data center server, basically.
You've probably 110 DCs, give or take.
Probably, yeah.
And some very slow links.
There's
way less. There's way less super slow links than there was. I'll at least give you that.
Yeah, it's gotten better. Replication seems to be pretty pretty good
Yeah, I
generally.
bet you if you actually tested.
You know, I don't get in Active Directory a lot. Usually, if I make a change, I'll come back the next. You know, I'll give it a lot of. I just ignore it basically.
Right.
I don't do a lot of.
Because you
Active
could do
Directory
like
changes.
the FRS VPA, right? And you'll see what the replication time is.
I don't know. I would have to.
You can do a DC diag. Some of that will tell you. Well, Chris, what was that? There's DC diag, and there was another one. One of the tools that would tell you where things were broken, and I bet there's stuff broken. Can't remember the other one, but there's the tools that'll tell you that.
It needs care and feeding, and it hasn't
okay.
gotten it. That's
Yes.
but
Yeah.
Yeah.
anyways, we should wrap things up.
All right.
Everybody's got to go.
It's been real.
It's been fun.
Next Tuesday, 8:30 p.m. Central. Forgot the name of that topic, or at least what we're gonna. Yeah, what we forgot we knew about, and I wrote end user support. Clearly, I meant end user support, and I'm just can't type. And we'll probably have other stuff to talk about. We'll see who can join us, and yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we got to get.
It's supposed to say what we forgot we knew about end user support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we got to get.
And what do you
Katie
hate about the
Shauna
internet?
and Grindle.
Yep.
It's not Six Pack anymore.
Oh,
I changed his nickname. He's Grindle.
yeah. How's he doing at that job?
He's doing good. Actually, he got promoted, man. He's the manager of that department now.
Wow.
So he's doing really
After
well.
like a year in IT.
Well, kind of. He's not really in IT. He's in support.
Well,
right?
support.
So, yeah. But he put the bottle down, man, and he started pulling his hat out. He's almost got a complete brown ring around his neck. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for him. Just tell him to remember to like get a breath every once in a while.
Yeah, it does help.
All right. Well, you badger them to come on next week, and we'll have a good. I refuse to say 360 review because that is a stupid ass term.
Yeah,
it's a 180 review.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good day, and we will talk to you later.